Let's continue with talking a bit more about network data. So, uh, one layer of complexity on top of just thinking about a network of nodes and links is that we could have a so-called multi-level network. Sometimes these are called compound networks or compound graphs. And in this, what we say is we've got our base network, and then we derive, in some cases, or in other cases, we're already given a cluster hierarchy. So think of this as basically a tree on top of a network. And so what I mean by that is we can say, we're going to take a number of nodes in the original graph and we're going to clump these together and consider them a higher level node. We're going to call that a meta node. And so we can do this for the original graph and get meta nodes. And then we could do that same procedure again. We could clump together meta nodes to get a higher level meta node. And so we can have an entire hierarchical structure, a hierarchical clustering of nodes that is related to the base graph, because the leaves of that hierarchical cluster are exactly all of the nodes in the base graph. So we have this combination of network and tree on top of it. What could we do with this? Well, one thing we can do when we've got this kind of a compound network is we can actually either take the cluster hierarchy that we might derive or that we might interactively choose. So here was some Grout flocks from my own lab, where what we were doing is we were explicitly allowing you to interactively choose what cluster hierarchy you wanted to look at any moment. So we were using a node link approach where we had connection marks for the links of the base network, and then we would show this hierarchical structure and allow you to interactively expand or contract these meta nodes. And so we had both the cluster hierarchy shown as these larger meta nodes, which were circles, just like the base nodes in the original graph. So this idea certainly has been used in other systems as well. The idea is that you could do something dynamic where you could explore very large graphs using this sort of multi-level structure. Here's another example of using multi-level structure where it's not affecting the visual layout at all. I mentioned earlier that there was real challenges with scalability computationally with just naive, simple first-directed placement. So here are some examples of deriving a cluster hierarchy for some given base graph and using that to speed up the algorithm, but the visual encoding is identical. So it's fundamentally the same use of a node link layout, but this scales to much larger graphs. So here you can see these are graphs so large, we're not even drawing the points explicitly, we're only drawing the edges in between. And this is quite a large graph that was able to be computed very quickly. So we can definitely go beyond just 1,000 nodes with these kinds of algorithmic accelerations using multi-level structures up until maybe things more like 10,000 nodes. Now, this problem of excess clutter where you just can't see anything will still hold once you get a sort of big and dense enough graph. We literally call this the hairball problem in network visualization, and it will hit eventually. And we can see one example of that where, all you can see is there's a zillion nodes, many, many edges that are all sort of on top of each other. You can't really see any of the internal structure once you get hit by that hairball problem. So, but you can get a much more large graph that is visible computationally because you don't just get stuck at the algorithm level. Here's another interesting thing we can do with graphs is we can, let's say you've got any kind of a compound network. We can actually try to bundle the edges together to reduce edge clutter. So here's an example of this hierarchical edge bundling approach where we're looking at a compound network where we've got, this is a software engineering example. So the cluster hierarchy is the package structure of, where exactly is each class within the package structure. And then the network is how do these classes actually call each other. So what are the inbound importing and the outbound calls between these classes? And those are the links in the graph. The point here is, if you look on the far left, it's just sort of, there's a lot of over edge overlap of edge crossings when we overlay that cluster hierarchy on top of the base graph. Here we've just arranged the hierarchical structure as the base, which is just the nodes around a circle according to the package hierarchy. And then we're showing the call relationships with all these lines. And it's a cluttered mess. So what we can do is think of this like taking a cable tie and gathering some of the edges together. How do we do this? We have derived bundles. We've said, let's keep track of where edges are going to the same spot. So we have source and destination similar, and we can gather them together, or at least find them, and then reroute the edges to, for a given node layout, we can reroute the edges to bring together those that have shared source and destinations. And we can do this at different levels of aggressiveness. Think of this as how tightly we take a zip tie and tie a bundle of cables together. And what this is doing is you can think of this as a post-processing step for a given layout to reduce the edge clutter. Of course, it's harder to follow the topological structure of any, the topological path for a given path, but to see large numbers of paths together, we're actually more able to see this sort of mid-level structure when we don't necessarily aggressively go all the way, as we see on the right, but have one of these intermediate amounts of rerouting the edges. And this approach actually it's not just for circular layouts. Any layout of the base network can be used. And so here's an example where instead of having a radial layout for that base tree, we're looking at a tree map, but we can still have this idea of bundling together the edges. And it's also been used for things like geographic layouts as well, where you have the nodes are laid out according to geographic position, say of cities within a country, and you can still use the same approach to try to find bundles of edges as a derived attribute, and then use that as the routing of the edges.